Welcome to Midnight Grove, where every story is a journey through wonder and warmth. Tonight's tale, The Star That Stayed Behind, follows Nova, a small but steadfast star, and her quiet bond with a young girl named Cassie. Together they remind us that even the smallest lights can brighten the darkest nights. Relax, settle in, and let this magical bedtime story inspire your dreams. Chapter 1, Nova's Wish. High above the earth, where the night stretched into a sea of endless darkness and light, the stars danced. Each glittering point of light burned with a brilliance that seemed eternal, their glow weaving patterns across the heavens. Together they filled the sky with a majestic, unified shimmer. Except for Nova. Nova's light wasn't like the others. Where most stars blazed brightly and raced across the cosmos, Nova hovered close to Earth, her glow soft and steady. She often felt the weight of the sky above her, where her companions swirled in celestial splendor. They rose higher with every passing night, their light growing stronger, bolder. Nova wasn't sure why she stayed so close to Earth. It wasn't fear, at least, not entirely. She loved the way her light played on the oceans, how it brushed gently over the mountains and reflected on quiet lakes. But the other stars didn't see it that way. You'll never shine bright enough if you stay down there. One star called as it streaked across the heavens in a dazzling arc. Your light barely reaches the sky, another teased. What's the point? Nova tried to ignore them, but their words lingered. She wanted to shine as they did, to stretch her light across the galaxy in sweeping strokes. Yet whenever she tried to rise higher, she felt out of place, as though her light didn't belong there. So she stayed near Earth, where the soft hum of the planet's life felt warm and familiar. A gathering of stars. Once every 100 years, the stars gathered in a celestial formation, known as the Circle of Light. It was a grand occasion, a celebration of their brilliance and the journeys they had taken across the cosmos. Nova approached the circle hesitantly, her light dim compared to the blazing brilliance of her peers. The larger stars radiated confidence, their voices ringing out like bells as they boasted of the galaxies they had illuminated and the wishes they had granted. I brought light to 1,000 worlds this century, boomed Altair, a massive star whose golden glow seemed to pulse with pride. I streaked across the heavens, added Vega, her blue light dazzling. I granted wishes to kings and queens, changing the course of history itself. The other stars hummed with approval, their lights flickering in agreement. What about you, Nova? Vega asked, her glow sharpening as she turned toward the smaller star. What have you done since the last gathering? Nova hesitated, her light flickering faintly. I stayed near Earth, she admitted. A ripple of laughter spread through the circle. Still lingering near that little planet? Scoffed Sirius, a fiery red star. You're wasting your light down there. Don't you ever dream of more? Vega pressed, her tone sharp. Nova shrank back, her glow dimming further. I like it there, she said softly. It feels right. But her words were drowned out by laughter and the booming stories of the larger stars. As the gathering continued, Nova drifted to the edge of the circle, her heart heavy with doubt. She watched the other stars, their light blazing as they spoke of their triumphs, and wondered if they were right. Maybe she wasn't meant to stay so close to Earth. The lonely glow. That night, Nova lingered lower than ever before, hovering just above a small village nestled in the hills. The rooftops glistened faintly in her light, and the world below was quiet. Save for the soft hum of crickets in the fields, she tried to imagine herself soaring higher, her light burning brighter as she joined the other stars in their grand adventures. But the thought felt hollow. "What's wrong with me?" she whispered, her light flickering weakly. As she gazed down at the earth, her glow caught on a small figure sitting alone on a hill just beyond the village. It was a child wrapped in a thick blanket, their hair gleaming silver in the moonlight. Curious, Nova drifted closer, her light brightening slightly as it reached the child. The child tilted their head upward, their wide eyes sparkling in the starlight. "Hello," they whispered, their voice soft but steady. "Are you watching over me?" Nova's glow pulsed faintly, her way of answering. The child smiled, their face softening. "You're different from the other stars, aren't you? You don't sparkle as much." Nova's light flickered, uncertain. "I like you better this way," the child continued. You calmer. I can talk to you." Nova felt a warmth spread through her, brighter than anything she had felt in years. She drifted closer, her light wrapping gently around the child like a soft blanket. "A simple wish. I've been feeling lonely," the child admitted, their voice barely audible over the faint rustle of the wind. "My mom works late at the bakery, and my dad says wishes don't come true. But I still make them sometimes." They paused, glancing up at Nova. "Can I make one with you?" Nova pulsed her light in response, her way of saying yes. "I wish—" The child hesitated, their voice trembling. "I wish I didn't feel so alone anymore." Nova's light flared gently, surrounding the child in a soft golden glow. She couldn't speak the way humans could, but she poured all her warmth into her light, hoping it would tell the child that they weren't alone. As the child lay back in the grass, their eyes slowly closing, Nova hovered above them, her light steady and unwavering. For the first time in a long time, Nova felt a sense of purpose, not in how brightly she shone or how far her light reached, but in the quiet difference she had made for someone who needed her. A star's gift. In the nights that followed, Nova stayed close to the hilltop, her light a constant presence for the child. She watched over them as they shared their thoughts and dreams, their laughter carrying softly into the night. "You're my only friend," the child said one evening, their voice tinged with sadness. "But you're the best one I've ever had." Nova's light brightened, wrapping gently around the child in silent reassurance. Though she couldn't speak, she hoped her glow could tell the child what she felt, that she would always be there, watching over them, even when the rest of the world felt lonely. And as the stars glittered high above, Nova realized that her light, though small and quiet, was enough. Chapter 2: A Star's Purpose. For weeks Nova lingered above the small hill, her light a constant companion for the child. The village below remained quiet and still each night, but the moments she spent with the child were full of life. They talked about everything. At least the child talked while Nova listened. "My name is Cassie," the child said one evening, lying back on the blanket they had spread across the grass. "My mom says it's short for Cassandra. She named me after my grandma." Nova's light pulsed softly, as though saying, "It's a beautiful name." "Do you have a name?" Cassie asked, turning her gaze toward the star. "Or is it just Star?" Nova's glow flickered faintly. She had always thought of herself as Nova, though the stars rarely called each other by name. "I think I'll call you Nova," Cassie decided with a small smile. "It suits you." Nova's light brightened, her glow steady and warm. A growing bond. Night after night, Nova stayed close to Cassie, her light a source of comfort as the child shared her dreams and fears. "I want to be an artist someday," Cassie said one evening, her fingers tracing patterns in the air. "I want to paint the stars, especially you." Nova's glow brightened in encouragement, but Cassie's smile faltered. "Mom says it's a silly dream," she added softly. "She says I should focus on real things like school and chores. But when I'm out here with you, it doesn't feel silly at all." Nova hovered closer, her light wrapping around Cassie like an embrace. Though she couldn't speak, Nova wished she could tell Cassie that her dreams weren't silly, that they were beautiful and worth pursuing, a sky full of stars. But Nova's quiet nights with Cassie didn't go unnoticed. The larger stars high above began to whisper about her absence. "Why does Nova stay so close to Earth?" Vega asked, her blue light flickering with disdain. "Doesn't she know stars are meant to soar?" "She's wasting her light," Sirius added, his fiery glow sharp. "Hovering near that tiny planet does nothing for the rest of the cosmos." The whispers reached Nova one evening as she lingered above the hill. She glanced up at the glittering expanse of stars, their brilliance casting faint shadows on the earth below. For a moment doubt crept into her heart. Was she wasting her light? She had always loved staying near Earth. But the other stars' words lingered in her mind. What if they were right? What if her place wasn't here? Nova's glow dimmed slightly, her thoughts clouded with uncertainty. Cassie's question. That night, as Nova's light flickered faintly, Cassie noticed the change. "You're not as bright tonight," she said softly, her brows knitting together. "Are you okay, Nova?" Nova hovered closer, her glow pulsing faintly in response. Cassie sat up, hugging her knees to her chest. "You know, I feel like that sometimes, too. Like I'm not good enough, or like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to." Nova's light flickered, her way of saying, "Tell me more." Cassie sighed. "I always try my best, but it feels like it's never enough. I want to make people happy, but sometimes it feels like I'm just in the way." Nova's glow steadied, her warmth wrapping around Cassie like a gentle hug. "You don't think I'm silly, do you?" Cassie asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "For sitting out here and talking to a star?" Nova's light flared brightly, filling the hilltop with a golden glow. Cassie laughed, the sound light and free. "Thanks, Nova. You always know how to make me feel better." The gift of light. As the nights passed, Nova's doubts began to fade. Cassie's words stayed with her, reminding her that even the smallest light could make a difference. But the whispers of the larger stars still reached her from time to time, their voices sharp and judgmental. "Stars are meant to shine across the cosmos," Vega said one night, her light blazing. "Not waste their brilliance on one tiny planet." Nova didn't answer. Instead, she turned her gaze back to Earth, where Cassie lay on her blanket, her face peaceful as she drifted to sleep. Nova's light brightened, her warmth spreading across the hilltop. She didn't need to shine across the cosmos. She didn't need to blaze as brightly as Vega or Sirius. She was exactly where she was meant to be, the night of the falling stars. One evening, as Nova lingered above the village, she noticed a flurry of activity in the sky. The larger stars were moving quickly, their light streaking across the heavens in brilliant arcs. It was the night of the falling stars, a rare celestial event where the stars granted wishes to those below. Nova watched as Vega and Sirius blazed across the sky, their movements grand and deliberate. The villagers below gasped in awe, their faces turned upward as they made their wishes. For a moment Nova felt small again. Her light, so soft and steady, seemed insignificant compared to the dazzling display above. But then she looked down. On the hilltop, Cassie stood with her arms outstretched, her face lit by Nova's gentle glow. "You're my favorite star, Nova," Cassie said, her voice soft but clear. Nova's light flared brightly, her doubts fading. She didn't need to be the brightest or the fastest. She didn't need to streak across the sky in grand arcs. Her light, though small and quiet, was enough. Chapter 3, Nova's Choice. The nights grew colder as autumn spread, its golden touch across the hills and valleys of the village below. Cassie still visited the hilltop each evening, wrapped tightly in her thick blanket, her small figure dwarfed by the vastness of the world around her. Nova hovered close, her soft light illuminating the quiet meadow as she watched over the child. Cassie's laughter and warmth had become the highlights of Nova's existence, and for the first time Nova felt sure of her place in the sky. The doubts that had plagued her before, whispers of wasted light and unfulfilled purpose, faded each time Cassie smiled. But the stars above didn't see it that way. The call of the stars. One evening, as Nova's glow settled over the hilltop, a booming voice echoed across the heavens. "Nova!" Altair's golden light burned brightly, cutting through the stillness of the night. Nova turned toward the celestial gathering forming high above. The larger stars shone brilliantly, their combined light casting faint shadows across the earth below. Altair's voice carried an edge of impatience as he addressed her again. "Do you continue to linger so close to the ground?" he demanded. "The skies are calling, and you are missing your chance to fulfill your purpose." Nova hesitated, her light flickering. "I have a purpose here," she said softly. "You call this purpose?" Vega's sharp voice rang out, her blue glow cutting through the darkness. "Hovering above a single hill? Watching over one insignificant human? She's wasting her light," Sirius added, his fiery glow pulsing in disdain. "A star is meant to shine across the heavens, to bring brilliance to the farthest corners of the cosmos." Nova's light dimmed under their harsh words, her confidence faltering. She thought of Cassie's smiles, the warmth she brought to the lonely child each night. But was that enough? Nova's voice wavered. "I think my light is needed here." Altair's golden light flared. "Every star is needed in the heavens, Nova. You cannot ignore your duty forever." The stars began to drift away, their voices fading as they returned to their places in the sky. Nova hovered in silence, her glow faint and uncertain. Cassie's gift. That night, Nova found herself lingering further from the hilltop than usual. She watched as Cassie spread her blanket across the grass and sat quietly, her small figure hunched against the chill. Nova's heart ached as she drifted closer, her light wrapping gently around the child. "Hi, Nova," Cassie said softly, her voice carrying a note of sadness. "You're quiet tonight." Nova pulsed her light faintly, wishing she could explain the weight that pressed against her. Cassie tilted her head, her expression thoughtful. "You know, my mom says everyone has a purpose. She says it's okay if it takes time to find it." Nova's light flickered faintly as though asking, "Do you believe that?" "I think so," Cassie said, her gaze turning toward the stars. "Like you, for example. The other stars are so bright and busy, but you're different. You're here for me." Nova's glow brightened slightly, warmth spreading through her as Cassie's words filled the silence. "You're my favorite star," Cassie continued, her voice filled with quiet certainty. "I think you're perfect just the way you are, a sky full of stars." The following night, Nova lingered higher in the sky than usual, her thoughts clouded with doubt. The larger stars glittered brilliantly above, their light weaving intricate patterns across the heavens. Nova had always admired their radiance, their ability to light up galaxies and guide travelers across the vast expanse of space. But their words echoed in her mind, sharp and unrelenting. Was she wasting her light? Was she wrong to stay so close to Earth? As the stars continued their celestial dance, Nova drifted lower, her glow dimming. She watched as Cassie sat alone on the hilltop, her small figure dwarfed by the vastness of the world. "Maybe I'm not enough," Nova thought, her light flickering weakly. Maybe the other stars are right. But then Cassie looked up, her face lit with a smile, her eyes shining with joy as she reached her arms toward the sky. "You came back," Cassie whispered, her voice filled with relief. Nova hovered closer, her light wrapping gently around the child. In that moment, the doubts that had clouded Nova's heart began to fade. She didn't need to shine the brightest or travel the farthest. Her light, though small and quiet, was enough. The night of the lanterns. The village below was alive with activity as the annual Night of the Lanterns approached. Cassie had told Nova about it weeks ago, her excitement palpable as she described the tradition. "Everyone in the village makes a lantern," Cassie had explained. "Then we light them and let them float into the sky. It's supposed to carry our wishes to the stars." Nova had listened intently, her light steady as Cassie spoke. She hadn't told Cassie that the stars couldn't hear the wishes carried by the lanterns, but she had promised herself that she would stay close, her light a silent guardian for the little girl who had become her friend. As the night arrived, Nova hovered above the village, her glow illuminating the dozens of lanterns that floated gently into the sky. Cassie stood on the hilltop, her own lantern held carefully in her hands. "I made a wish for you, Nova," Cassie whispered, her voice barely audible. "I wish that you would always feel special, the way you make me feel." Nova's light flared brightly, her warmth spreading across the hilltop. A star's legacy. Years passed, but Nova's bond with Cassie never wavered. As the little girl grew into a young woman, Nova remained a constant presence in her life, her light a steady source of comfort and inspiration. Cassie became an artist, just as she had always dreamed. Her paintings of the stars, especially Nova, were displayed in galleries across the world, their light capturing the quiet beauty of the night sky. And though Nova remained close to Earth, her presence was felt far beyond the hilltop. Her soft, steady light became a beacon for those who felt lost, a reminder that even the smallest lights could make a difference. As the years turned into decades, Nova's glow never faded. She didn't need to be the brightest or the boldest. She didn't need to blaze across the heavens. She was exactly where she was meant to be. Thank you for joining us at Midnight Grove for the star that stayed behind. Nova's journey shows us that purpose isn't found in comparison, but in the quiet difference we make in others' lives. As you drift into sleep, may her story remind you that your light, no matter how small, is always enough. Sleep well, and we'll see you again soon for another heartfelt tale.